Frequency Podcast Network. Stories that matter, podcasts that resonate.
The U.S. Supreme Court strikes down Trump's sweeping tariffs, ruling he exceeded his power under the law. Hi, I'm Virjesh Dave. This is Big Headlines, everything you need to know to be in the know in just 5 minutes. In the U.S., the Supreme Court has ruled Donald Trump's sweeping emergency tariffs as illegal. It struck down the president's use of emergency law for his Liberation Day tariffs and fentanyl-related duties on Canada, Mexico, and China. This is arguably the most important loss the second Trump administration has sustained at the conservative Supreme Court. ABC's Stephen Portnoy is in Washington.
It was a 6-3 ruling written by the Chief Justice. John Roberts says the president has asserted an extraordinary power to unilaterally impose tariffs, but he says to do it, the president must identify clear congressional authorization. And Roberts points out no president has ever relied on the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to impose tariffs. He says the law Trump has leaned on does not authorize him to do it.
Administration officials have said they expect to keep the tariff framework in place under other authorities. This is a breaking news story. Go to citynews.ca for the latest updates. A majority of Canadians are happy with the work Prime Minister Mark Carney and the governing Liberals are doing with the economy. A City News Canada Pulse poll shows 2/3 of Canadians support the efforts reacting to the Trump tariffs and getting big projects going for domestic growth. The study shows 67% of Canadians say Carney's doing a good job diversifying and building Canada's economy. 2/3 believe he's listening to their own specific provincial premiers and delivering on what their province or region needs. Pollster John Wright.
The first thing that strikes you is the broad coalition of support that the Prime Minister has. I mean, almost half the people in Alberta, in fact, are with him. On all of the economic measures, 2/3 of the country is effectively saying that you're doing a good job. But the other part was that even though the opposition members have said, we want shovels in the ground and where's the results, 2/3 of the population is willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, look, these things take time.
A slim majority say Carney and the federal government are doing a good job of addressing affordability. 72% of respondents say they're proud of how Carney's representing Canada on the world stage, especially following his speech in Davos last month. Also making big headlines, the extraordinary fall from grace for Andrew Mountbatten Windsor continues in the UK, with British police now searching his former home. He was photographed slouching in the back of an SUV as he left the police station, with British papers saying he's wild-eyed, ashen, and scared. He's not been charged, but is still under investigation for suspected misconduct while serving as a UK trade envoy when it's alleged he could have shared confidential information with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The family of Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre say the former prince's arrest is a step forward towards accountability.
If it had not been for Virginia and the survivors consistently pushing forward, even this wouldn't have been possible.
This is the start of the domino effect. This is where the house of cards starts falling.
He's the first royal to be arrested in nearly 400 years. King Charles continued with his planned engagements following his brother's arrest, attending a London fashion show and meeting with designer Stella McCartney. A judge is set to decide whether to grant bail to the man accused of being Ryan Wedding's chief money launderer. Roland Sokolovsky is asking to be released ahead of a hearing that'll determine whether he'll be extradited to the United States. His legal team proposed house arrest with round-the-clock GPS monitoring, but prosecutors say Sokolovsky poses a flight risk. He's accused of laundering hundreds of millions of dollars in assets for an international drug smuggling ring, allegedly led by former Canadian Olympian Ryan Wedding. It's day 14 of the Winter Games in Italy. The men's hockey semifinal game is underway, and we're still processing all of the drama from that quarterfinal game against Czechia when Sidney Crosby was injured. He's not in the lineup for this one. Sportsnet's Kevin Bieksa has some thoughts.
You got to find some combination, some rhythm, because some of the other forwards can be an impact. Like, you don't have to win this game with McDavid, Celebrini, and McKinnon. But you have to keep the other guys involved.
Now, rules are you do have to have a captain, so Connor McDavid is wearing the C today. It'll be the United States and Slovakia in the other semifinal later today. Brad Jacobs and the men, by the way, play for curling gold tomorrow against Great Britain, while Canada's women's curling team, led by Rachel Homan, will play the U.S. for bronze tomorrow after a 6-3 loss to Sweden in today's semifinal. If you haven't listened yet, today on the Big Story podcast, what's the Ford government's long game with the school board takeovers? Host Maria Costain speaks to Queen's Park reporter Richard Southern.
What does this mean exactly? What does supervision entail?
Yeah, in some cases, it is him making the decisions. But what he's really doing here with a lot of these boards is appointing a supervisor. And these supervisors, in many cases, don't have a lot or any experience in education. They're coming from the corporate sector in some cases or from the political realm, and they're being paid $350,000 a year to do this. So we've heard an earful from the opposition here at the Ontario Provincial Legislature about, hey, is this really, you're trying to tackle financial mismanagement, $145,000 trip to Italy, sure, but you're doing it by appointing a supervisor paid more than $300,000 a year. Is that the right way to do it? So that's kind of what the government's been doing here. But it's raising a lot of criticism from the opposition.
You can listen to the full episode wherever you get your podcasts. Now you're in the know. Thank you for listening to Big Headlines. Make sure you follow, share, and review Big Headlines. I'm Burjesh Dave, and I'm actually off to watch that Canada-Finland game. Go Canada, go. Today's episode was produced by Kate Hayes. Enrique Amaturo is our lead producer. Have an amazing weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday.